Hello Namibia, and welcome to your daily lunchtime show where we catch up on current events and headlines. My name is Priska Anyolo and you are watching NMH at 1. So let us first have a look at incoming news this morning. So the Minister of Health and Social Services. The COVID-19 pandemic is in the process of laying bare some serious incompetencies, it seems. In the run-up towards reviving the Namibian tourism industry and saving what could be saved, it was made clear that all tourists should be allowed through the Hosea Kutako International Airport. The very first flight of Ethiopian Airways landed on the 14th of September and was followed by a flight by Eurowings, and so it continued. In the meantime, people started gaining hope when it was announced that as from the 1st of October, the borders would reopen. It needs to be understood in this regard that throughout the lockdown periods, borders had been kept open for logistical and business services. So when government announced that South Africa and Namibia had agreed that they would open their joint borders as from the 1st of October, there could never have been doubt that the borders would have been opened over and above the logistical access. The De Beers Group and the Anglo-American Namibia Foundation, also known as AANF, inaugurated new health facilities at the southern border crossings Ariamsvlei and Noord-Oever and handed them over to the Ministry of Health on the 25th of September at a time when everybody was delighted about the fact that the borders would reopen soon. Not once did the Minister of Health and Social Services make a point of informing the public that their expectations were wrong. To compound that fact, Namibia allowed tourists to enter Namibia via the South African borders for almost 10 days, before suddenly maintaining that these tourists entered the country under false pretenses. In other words, pretending not to be tourists. And this happened at a time when the Ministry of Health and Social Services admitted that they were not able to cope with the task at hand as regards the testing of tourists for COVID-19 on the 5th day after having arrived in Namibia. To now imply that tourists are wrong is not only an insult to guests of Namibia, but seems to border on being ludicrous. Hopefully, Cabinet will come up with an answer to this comedy of errors during the course of this day. And now we move on to more uplifting news. To win a holiday discount voucher worth $1,000 Namibian, answer the tourism-related question displaying on your cell phone or computer screens. Now, before I post the questions, do remember that you can win a voucher on the daily NMH at 1 show until the 6th of November 2020. This competition relates to the Namibia Tourism Expo, which will take place during the days of 4th of November to the 7th of November. Now, these vouchers will allow you to visit the NTE 2020 and trade it in for a booking of your choice at any of the exhibiting lodges and accommodation establishments. To remain fair, though, we will allow only one win per person, but this could still substantially cheapen your holiday, considering the fact that our Namibian establishments are likely to offer specials as part of their drive to promote local tourism. So now for today's question. What is the name of the meteorite that is outside of Grootfontein? Again, I ask, what is the name of the meteorite outside of Grootfontein? And now we move on to our COVID-19 update. According to the official data up to Sunday, Namibia just stayed below the brink of 12,000 recorded cases of COVID-19. Monday's report will be made public later this afternoon. On Tuesdays, our Corona Monitor captures contact tracing, and today we look at regional data for the 7 days from the 4th to the 10th of October. Almost 3,000 new contacts were listed over this period, largely due to an increase of more than 1,500 names in the close contacts register for the Oshikoto region. In Commerce region, 351 new individuals who had contact with confirmed cases were listed, 260 in Ohangwena and 202 in the Hardap regions. In Kunene, 114 new contacts were traced and 86 in Oshana. According to that data, an average of 2.3 contacts are traced per confirmed case in Namibia. This number is substantially lower than the assumed 20 people that a person might spend 15 minutes or longer with in a proximity of 1.5 meters or closer. So let us keep our distance and stay safe. And now we bring you a few video news clips from around the country. Chiemo Haidula has recorded the ruling SWAPO party holding its countrywide drive-through election campaign this past Saturday as they gear up to the local and regional elections in November. Watch the party's supporters and sympathizers dance to the revolutionary songs in the Oshana region. And in our next video clip, Steffi Balsar spoke to Castro Nangula of Liberal Apparel. It is a Namibian clothing brand that can be bought online. Castro told Steffi what the brand stands for, so do take a look.
Hi, my name is Castro Nangula, web developer at Liberal Apparel. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook and on Twitter. Liberal Apparel is more than a clothing brand. We are more of gentlemen that stand for a way of life. Liberal is somebody that respects other people's opinions even though they're different from their own. And thereby we would like to transcend that through clothing to say that it doesn't matter where you're from, your cultural background or your financial background, you can still wear our items and stand for something and be someone.
And for our third video insert, Leandria Lowe has forwarded us a video clip of the Deputy Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Emma Theophilus, who joined a peaceful demonstration that had been organized by the Wasserval family yesterday. Shannon Wasserval has been missing since April 2020, and what is presumed to be her remains were found near Walvis Bay last week. Dennis Wasserval, family of Shannon, thanked the nation for their support during this difficult time. Demonstrators demanded yesterday that the police performs better in its job.
All of us, our voices, our strength, all of us are Shannon, and all of us can get the justice she deserves. What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! Onces move! Onces move! Onces move! Onces move! Onces move! Onces move! Down, TVV, down! Down! Down, TVV, down! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! Thank you. We are on the
thank the nation at large for a peaceful demonstration, and we really feel the pain of the nation. And as a family member of Shannon Wasserval, I know it's not an easy thing for us what we are going through. So I really want to thank the nation for coming, for being with us and everything. Thank you very much. About the violent protest, I think it's not something good. It's not something good, and I really want, because the nation and the family, they are hurting already. So we don't want to hurt someone else, you know. So I don't think the violent protest, it must actually continue. The main thing right now, we don't even have a date, and because we are still waiting for the autopsy. So no arrangements have been made yet. So we are just waiting for the autopsy to actually happen, and then only after that we can say what are the arrangements and everything. Please, let's respect each and every person here. It's fine, guys. They are also humans, just like us. Now, this is a peaceful demonstration. Thomas Khan was a brief mention.
What are they doing? What are they doing? What are they talking about? What is taking place? Well, you have to close down while you are number one. But you couldn't find the sample body. 6 months. 6 months. You had to take you a tip off from someone to find the child. Would you ever find Shannon? Would we have ever known what Shannon?
If we have a look at the front pages of our papers today, we see that on page 1 of the Allgemeine Zeitung, the paper provides feedback to its readership as regards to the arrest of various protesters, including members of the media. All of these people who were arrested during the hashtag Shut It All Down protests have been released by the police without charges having been laid. The sad part is that police were quick to make use of force in order to quell the protests against gender-based violence, but were unable to prevent any further violence in the form of murders and rapes during the same time. The Republican leads with the Minister of Health and Social Services, who now insists that there was never a question of allowing tourists in over the borders by the road. The only manner in which tourists are allowed in Namibia would have been by way of flights landing at the Hosea Kutako International Airport in Windhoek. This is contrary to what had been generally accepted and reported all over the news and specifically discussed on a Tourism Revival WhatsApp group. Quite apart from the fact that the ministry did not utter a single word about such possible misunderstanding when they reopened the borders. Sorry about that. When they reopened the border post at Armsvlei and Woordhoever in the beginning of October 2020. So it seems as though once again, as though the ministry had performed a 180 degrees U-turn once they discovered that their systems were not ready to face the substantial number of tourists that wanted to enter Namibia from the South African side. Bus services have been seriously impacted on account of incomplete information having been made available by the government. A sad state of affairs indeed. The Namibian Sun carries a sad story about a so-called strange sickness that is found amongst the San community around Rundu in the East Kavango region. It would seem as though, and up to now, an unidentified skin disease has broken out amongst the San Bushman community in the Ndama township at Rundu, with the sickness having been diagnosed amongst people of all ages. The Ministry of Health has finally responded to an urgent appeal to assist, dating back to last week already. The Namibian also leads with a court case, which is a continuation of the conflict between the Ka'ankuse Wildlife Foundation, which successfully fought an order by the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism last month, when certain officials had ordered Ka'ankuse to either free or put down wild dogs, baboons and monkeys, lions and leopards, as well as other feline species, all animals that they had previously saved from all types of predicaments. The foundation is now under investigation as it has supposedly been involved in keeping animals without the requisite permits and is supposed to have even bred cheetah without the required program registration. New Era has an interesting angle on the Shannon Vassafal murder case, with Police Commissioner Nelius Becker having announced that the police would need roughly 45 million Namibian dollars in order to clear the country's DNA backlog. He said this when informing the paper that the police had been able to secure a fingerprint, which they hope will positively identify the badly decomposed body of what is expected to be the deceased Vassafal's corpse. And on the inside of our country's newspapers, we can read up on the following. On page 3 of the Allgemeine Zeitung, you can see that the German embassy has donated a microfilm scanner to the value of 248,000 Namibian dollars to the National Archive. Republican on its page 3 quotes the political analyst Professor Nico Horn, who reckons that the demonstrations over the past weekend could not have come at a worse time for the ruling party SWAPO that already faces an uphill battle with various other political issues coming to a point just before the November local and regional elections. He reckons that especially the opposition parties led by Namibian youths are currently questioning government's performance, while leaders such as Joba Mpanda of the Affirmative Repositioning Party have been active in ensuring that demonstrators were released by the police. On page 3 of the Namibian Sun, you can get an accurate account of what has been happening at the borders, where foreign visitors have suddenly been turned back. Under the heading Chaos at Border Posts, the paper supplies feedback by various bus and tourism operators, which makes your hair stand up, with police chasing vehicles with sirens and blue lights while placing people under quarantine that technically do not belong there. Not exactly the picture Namibia is trying to promote in order to reinvigorate the tourism industry. On its page 3, the Namibian informs us about the Windhoek municipality planning to invest in a total of 420 million Namibian dollars in 5 solar plants as part of the public-private partnerships. New Era has an article under Agri Today, where Charles Chatindi describes olive farming as the true measure of patience. It is a story about 2 farmers who have invested into large plantations near Hochveld in the Oshodajupa region and the time it takes until the first crop is secured. And now we move on to our interview section for today. Jareen Hoff of Windhoek Express chats to wedding and events planner Monica Breitenbach of Piccolo Mondo about what the impact COVID-19 has had on this industry, as well as her exciting plans for the future. Do take a look.
Hi Jareen, I'm Monica Breitenbach from Piccolo Mondo. Welcome.
The industry has really experienced many challenges in the last couple of months. And often people forget that the entertainment industry is actually also an integral part of the whole hospitality industry. How has this impacted you?
Well, I think I actually speak on behalf of everyone in the events industry. We really had a tough time. Since our first lockdown, obviously we were not allowed to do any events. And financially it's been a roller coaster for everyone. And luckily I have a wonderful husband who paid basically for everything. So if it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't have been here anymore. But I think now, after all the restrictions, it's starting slowly but surely that we can start again with events. It's still only 50% people per event, which is not easy for us because for a wedding or a big event, you need at least 100 or 150 packs to make it worth your while. But we try to jump over all these, what you call it, your hurdles, and see if we can just stay positive, because that basically is all that we can do at the moment.
How have you and your staff handled this whole time?
Well, they were working actually basically on a staff, like skeleton staff, because it was not so important to have them here every single day. We were closed for a couple of weeks because it was just not feasible for us. And they also still on a 50% cut, which is for me terrible, but I've got a wonderful team, and they said, we're a team, we're in this together. And obviously once everything starts going back to normal again, then we reimburse them as well for it. So, but yeah, I'm happy to have such a wonderful team that sticks together, because a team is very important. If you don't have a team, you can't do this. And yeah, but as I say, they're very positive, but it's tough for them as well, because they've been used to a certain salary, and now it's less, and it's tough times. Yeah.
You had told me earlier that your events are starting to pick up.
Yes.
How is that going?
It's definitely picking up. So we're really, really hoping, everyone in the events industry, that it's going to be up to at least 150 people, because we always feel, what if they can change it, like let's say a venue can take 200 packs, then at least allow 100 packs to be in that venue, because then you still have enough space to look at your social distancing. But for 50, it's still quite tough for us. But we're hoping that it's going to get a little bit more. And we're also fully booked for next year already. So I think basically what happened, a lot of brides that had to cancel, they didn't cancel completely, they're just postponing until next year. So I think next year we're going to be really, really busy.
Of course, it's not only your specific industry, it's a whole knock-on industry.
Exactly.
That is feeling the impact as well.
Yes.
So it's food, hospitality, venues as a whole. What is the feeling and the words that you get from people out there that you work with on a daily basis?
Obviously everyone is battling, but I think what we also realize now, that this is now the time that we also have to stick together. There is no such thing anymore that everyone does it their own way. We have to be, we have to stand together, help each other. Trying to get some artists in here as well, where people can actually buy tickets, and we get someone that actually prepares a nice dinner table or something like that, and they can bring along their own wine or whatever they feel like to drink. And we have artists here, and they can really enjoy a wonderful evening, just to help the artists as well. And I think we need something like that, just to get more positivity into everybody, because I think everyone feels a bit low at the moment. And so that's definitely what we're planning. We're also planning to start with internship, that actually people that maybe lost their job and they're interested in wedding planning, something like that, that we actually get a few on board internship, and then we'll see how it goes. Because I think this is the time where we, as I said, we have to hold hands and stick together and help each other. Basically, decor-wise, what we do is we not only do wedding planning, we also do the whole setup of an event. But another thing is, if somebody has a very, very small budget, then they can actually rent the decor from us. We also do flowers. We get our flowers directly from Johannesburg Market. So we do also fresh flowers and arrangements, whatever the bride or the client would love us to do. So then they can either come and pick up the stuff themselves, or we can actually drop it off. So we have different packages just to make it easier for everybody, because I know not everyone has a big budget. And basically the trends these days, I'm not a copycat. I don't want to go according to a specific trend, because I see every bride has her own ideas. But lots of flowers is very much, in fashion now, and especially bohemian. Everyone loves the bohemian. So I think we have every single year we have a different kind of trend. But you do have brides that say, I'm not really a trendy person. I want something that is more me. So we actually help everybody. Whatever they want, whatever they need, we try to help wherever we can.
You've got a couple of exciting things in the pipeline. First off is your very exotic coffee. Tell us about this.
Yes, we actually, that all happened while we were in lockdown, and I realized I have to do something because we don't know how long this is going to take and we need a bit of income. That's why I decided let's just start with a little mini coffee shop, but we want to have it very on a healthy basis. A lot of people are sort of against bread and all these kind of things, so we want to bring in a lot of healthy snacks and stuff. But we're also very, very happy that we can actually have our local coffee. So it's a person that is actually, he's roasting his own coffee, and it's wood fired, which actually gives the coffee beans an amazing taste. So it's just something out of this world. So we are going to start pretty soon with a coffee shop, and everybody is welcome. So yeah, and come and taste our wonderful wood fired coffee.
And then also you told me that you're looking into getting local artists to perform in your
Yes.
wonderful space here, because it lends itself to a beautiful, intimate atmosphere. When are you going to start?
That is definitely going to start here from November onwards, but we're going to take it over to next year as well, because I think everyone is a little bit worried, and we still have to add to all the rules and regulations. There are still certain restrictions, so we have to be very careful that we don't overstep these kind of, restrictions. And yeah, and that's why I say if once we start, which is hopefully now in November, then we just go forward and definitely take it over to next year.
And what can guests that will be attending this expect from such an event?
Well, obviously, we want them to enjoy the evening. It's going to be fun. It's going to be vibrant, and especially if they know that there's something to eat, because I think eat and, snacks or something nice to eat and a nice glass of wine is always very, very nice for people to enjoy the evening. And obviously, with the music, the entertainment, that is just part of it.
And that brings us to the end of today's live show. I've been your host, Priska Agnolo, and thank you so much for watching and supporting us. And please join us again tomorrow at the same time and at the same place. Until then, stay safe and healthy. Goodbye.